So we're going to continue on something that's related to mots nouveaux, these words le, la, le. Again, you've seen these words many times, but they're going to be used very differently than we've been using them. We have la pizza, le vélo. They're not used right now for the word the. They're a different meaning. And we're going to apply all the rules we did recently with mots nouveaux. So these are another kind of object pronoun. And like I said, we already know the rules for where they go. There's going to be just like with mots nouveaux. How would you say, I invite you? Je t'invite. Right? So what's the rule for where these words go in a sentence? Mots nouveaux, which is going to be the same for these new ones today, le, la, le. There's one verb right before the verb. Like we have in this example here, je t'invite. If there's two verbs, right before the second verb. It's a positive command. Remember, that's the only time it can ever go at the end. I'm not going to worry about that this year, probably. So, le, la, le. They can refer to people or things. And it's important that we remember that because we're going to have another kind of word like this soon that's only going to refer to people. So, le, la, le can make reference to people or things. For example, le replaces any masculine person or thing. So, it could replace Marc, le stylo, ce crayon, son livre. La replaces a feminine person or thing, so Sophie, la pizza, cette glace, ta maison. L'apostrophe replaces a masculine or feminine word that comes before a vowel sound. That starts with a vowel sound, I should say. Les replaces plural people or things, so Marc et Sophie, les stylos, ses hamburgers, mes amis. And you can see the meanings down here in English. So they mean him, her, it, and them. So the purpose of using le, la, le, the way we're going to use them today, is to replace these words that we're seeing here. Marc, la pizza, Marc et Sophie, le stylo, so that we're not repeating yourself. So let's say I want to talk about Marc a lot today, and I'm like, I saw Marc yesterday. Did you see Marc? Do you like Marc? We're saying Marc a lot. What's the problem? There's not a problem, but it's repetitive. So can you continue saying Marc? Yes. But these words are a way to avoid saying Marc and say, I saw him. I like him. So if you were never to use these, you could get away with that, but people are going to use them, so you have to at least be able to recognize what they're doing. So let's look at some examples. Tu regardes la télé? Oui, je la regarde. What's the la replacing? La télé. Tu connais Sarah? Do you know Sarah? Oui, je la connais. What's the la replacing? Sarah. Tu aimes le film? Oui, je l'aime. It's the L apostrophe replacing le film. And films doesn't start with a vowel sound, but the le goes in front of M now, and that's a vowel sound, so we turned le to L apostrophe. Tu as les stylos rouges? Oui, je les ai. Les stylos rouges. Some more examples. Tu vas voir le film? Oui, je vais le voir. Le film. Tu veux manger les bananes? Oui, je veux les manger. Les bananes. I want to eat them. Could you say, I want to eat the bananas? Yes, but this is just a way to avoid repetition, right? J'invite Sophie. Should I invite Sophie? Oui, invite-la, invite her. J'invite Marc. Should I invite Marc? No, ne l'invite pas. Don't invite him. Okay? So where do they go again? We're repeating this again. Same things we just talked about when we reviewed mots nouveaux. Same rules for le, la, le. If there's one verb, right before the verb, je le regarde. Negative, right before the verb still. The ne pas we know goes around the verb. It's just going to stretch a little further to put the le right next to it, the verb. Je ne le regarde pas. There's two verbs right before verb two. Je vais le regarder. Some of my students always want to make the rule it goes in between. Don't say that because then you're going to get confused about where to put the le in the negative. Ne pas goes around verb one. Le goes before verb two. Je ne vais pas le regarder. If you want to make a command, only time you can have the le, la, le, or the mots nouveaux at the end is a positive command. Regarde-le, look at him. Negative, back before the verb like all of the other rules. Don't look at him. Ne le regarde pas. So here's some practice. You can pause this if you want while you're doing it before the answers come up. You're just going to put in each blank le, la, le, or L apostrophe. And hopefully you've paused this, and here are the answers. Okay, here's a little bit longer practice. Now you have to correctly use le, la, les to replace le steak, la pomme, ce disque, and la tour Eiffel, but also complete the sentence. So you've got to put the le, la, les in the right place and conjugate the verb. Don't forget that all the verbs in the questions are in the to form. So now that you're answering with je, the verb's got to match with je. Remember, since the whole point of using le, la, les here is to replace something, then these words, steak, pomme, disque, and tour Eiffel, will not be in your new sentence. So pause here so you can try this and then come back and check your answers. Okay, so I'm going to show the answers now for you to check. Je le veux, je ne la mange pas. So number 1 and 2 are examples of one verb, positive and negative. Number 3, je vais l'écouter. Number 4, je ne veux pas la voir are examples when you have two verbs, positive and negative. Direct objects in the passé composé. What do you notice here? Someone's going to notice that, oh, this is weird. Invité uses avoir, but there's extra e's and s's here. We don't do that when we use avoir. We only do that with être verbs. Let's check this out. So passé composé, we're going to use le, la, les, or me, te, nous, vous, before the verb avoir. Ne pas, like we already know, goes around avoir. That object pronoun has to be right before the verb. And the verb is actually going to match with masculine, feminine, and plural with le, la, les, or me, te, nous, vous. Now this is something a little more advanced, so when you're in French 2, yes, I'm going to write the correction when we're going over exercises, so I'm not putting the wrong answer on the board, but I'm not going to take off for it because in most verbs, when you're saying it out loud, it's not going to sound any different, but just so that you can see how it works correctly. So this is just for passé composé. Tu as regardé Sarah? Oui, je l'ai regardé. Because this L apostrophe right here refers to Sarah, that's feminine. I added an E to the end. Doesn't sound any different though. There are some verbs that if they end with a consonant, it'll sound different, but not for most of them. Tu as vu tes amis? Non, je ne les ai pas vus. This les is plural because it refers to tes amis, so I put an extra S. So let's try some in passé composé. So again, you're choosing le, la, les, and you're putting them in the right place for passé composé. Pause here so you can practice this exercise. Okay, so I'm going to go over the answers, so hopefully you've finished. Je l'ai vu. Again, this L apostrophe is referring to Marie, so I added an E. It's passé composé, so the le, la, I should say, goes before the avoir. Je les ai mangés. Extra E and S to go with les pommes, feminine plural. Je ne l'ai pas apporté. Negative of passé composé. Ne pas goes around the avoir. The le is right next to the avoir. Je ne l'ai pas regardé. Extra E for la télé. And that's it.